Since we have this major loss at the end of this episode, this will become a new double episode. Because they really took the time to make a great tribute to Daniel Grayson within these 2 episodes. I must admit this hit me very hard and out of nowhere. Daniel was never my favorite and the 2 were never my favorite couple. But I did grow to like Daniel and Margaux, and I just love the new relationship between him and Emily. Now that all secrets have been told, they seem to have found a common ground for a long-lasting friendship. About Victoria and David, just quick, I like how she operates here. Because she already giving Malcolm Balck Emily's name, she needs some kind of reassurance. Therefore she is begging David to involve Emily, and after that did not work she just tells me she will do what is best. Clearly she did not lie to him, but she did not tell the truth either. They both are just a couple that cannot work, and it was good that she finally realized it in the next couple of episodes. About Emily, Jack and Kate, they could have made this more interesting by keeping us in the dark about Kate a little longer. When Jack gets together with her, we already know that she is some kind attached to Malcolm Balck and just feels sorry for him. But they also could have used this mini love triangle and Emily's jealousy on her. Jack does not trust Emily's warning because he thinks she is jealous, which is not untrue since I think Emily has still a hard time seeing Jack happy with someone else. It was apparent with him and Fomander and only got better when Aidan came into the picture. And when he was together with Margaux in season 3, she was not that thrilled either when this became more serious. So no surprise here that she still cannot stand seeing him with another woman. It would have been nice playing a little guessing game here if she really is shady and only using Jack for her advantage, or if she truly had fallen in love and maybe would need his help. As unbelievable this sounds, but I guess they wanted to emphasize the similarity between Emily and Kate, so I guess like Daniel, Jack has a type, and it is obviously the sociopathic with criminal tendencies type. What is worse with presenting us Jack again in love with a dangerous woman who is no good and maybe even a threat for him. Again he is looking weak and becomes a victim. Finally, after he got his hero moment and became a police officer, I thought they would grant him a new role. Okay, they could not reverse roles here and make him save Emily all the time, but at least they could stop making it Emily's duty to protect and save him. About the Wonder Twins Nolan and Louise, I really loved those first happy moments between them. It almost looked like he was interested in her even in a romantic sense. Spoiler alert, though Tony was nice, I really loved to see Louise and Nolan coming together by the end of the season. About Daniel and Conrad, nice idea bringing him back for Daniel's last episode. After Victoria, he had the most impact on Daniel's life, and becoming a father, it is only natural to think about your parents, analyzing what they did wrong and how you can do better. I really love the subplot here that framed this episode. I know it is very much cliché and we have seen this 1,000 times in justice shows as Criminal Intent, but it served its purpose, showing us how Conrad is obsessed with their name and the public image, an obsession he inherited from his father Edward Grayson. He really thinks because they are Graysons they are not only better than other people but that they have the right to commit crimes, or at least help other people who are valuable to them cover their crimes up so that they owe you. Conrad's metaphor about gods and insects is really despicable, but it shows how many rich people think, especially when they have some kind of legacy with a long-running company that has a tradition over decades. It is like new royalty but with the old thinking of the former elite. This scene with Kate made me even more suspicious about Victoria. I mean, she is talking with her even though she knows that she is attached to this dangerous man Malcolm Balck. And she practical sends her going after Emily. She does not explicitly say she should kill her, and she does not tell anything about her true identity, but her allusions go very far. So for me, she trying to get rid of Emily for once and for all. About Victoria and Margaux. I know this relationship got closer very fast, but I think they managed to show this in a very natural way. First the three got closer attached because Victoria was planning to marry Margaux's father Pascal. That would have made Daniel and Margaux to some kind of brother and sister. Then we had a new reason for Victoria to get close with Margaux after Pascal's death and her relationship with Daniel. Spoiler alert 1. Finally after Daniel's death they reunite again over grief and their hatred for Emily, who seems to be the source of their heartache. Since Victoria is still blaming her for Pascal's death instead of Conrad, who actually killed him, still cannot get over her ignoring this crucial fact. And since neither Emily nor Victoria are telling Margaux the truth about Daniel's death, she must believe what Emily officially said, that she shot him, which makes Margaux to Victoria's natural ally in her war with Emily. Spoiler alert 2. Even more after she lost the baby. About the party fashion. Interesting that they are giving Louise a very similar dress than the one Victoria wore in season 3 when Pascal died. But I think this was only accidentally cause I believe Victoria is pulling off some old dresses as well in the last episodes. Her bandeau dresses from season 1 seems to be back. Anyway, this might be due to budget cuts. But I like Nolan's jacket. I already told you I love this maritime theme in his fashion for season 4. The only dress I did not quite like was Emily's. I just do not like the style. Though the long dress really supports her tall and small figure. I also do not like the color combination black and gold. Let's just say it is not my favorite dress of hers. But since we get not that much fancy parties and events this season, one guess fashion did not matter that much anymore. I must admit besides Margaux and Nolan there were not that many characters who hold a torch for fashion this season. Even Victoria got more casual. About Daniel's old letter to his father. Like I said, this was a nice frame and a fitting tribute to redeem Daniel. Since the pilot they made us see the parallels between Daniel and Emily. Now the roles had been reversed. Daniel has now to live with the scrutiny of the media and the scandal around his father, while Emily has finally cleared her father's name. Now with this letter to his father in which he declares his worldview, they take on another parallel with the letter David wrote to Amanda, in which he tried to form her worldview and ideology. They really go all in, especially in this last scene with him and Victoria. I like how he tries to persuade her follow his path. Till now she still would have the chance to turn things around. Emily and her are in something like a ceasefire. And if she would talk openly with David, he would either understand her and stay with her or throw her out for good. It is nice that they are going back to the initial theme of this vicious cycle. It is my favorite theme and the core of the original story by Dumas. Every act of revenge brings up a new one, and so the retaliation goes on until nothing is left. A lesson Emily and Victoria still have to learn this season. But the most memorable quote from Daniel is his view on Emily and her war with his family. Now he really joined Team Emily, which is just such a great idea. His little speech was not that original but a nice sum up. And it really shows his development. About David trying to kill Victoria. This scene between the two had a nice twist. I still cannot call if Daniel is acting out of a real plan here or if he just wants to leave a burned ground. Why does he not try to contact Malcolm Balck in person? Okay, he does not know Emily is in danger because Victoria is not telling him about Kate. And the Three Musketeers think they have everything under control, sticking to what they always do, conspire together and rely on Emily to do the rest. And where the hell comes the sudden wish to kill Victoria? Did Emily told him about all her misdeeds and fill in the blankets she left for David? Last time I checked they wanted to run away together with Emily. Or was this just a ruse again to keep her from becoming suspicious? Anyway, it is funny how they always find ways for Victoria to withstand death. I think there are more than 5 times this season she is close to death. First when she got struck by lightning, and then the men who attacked David threatened to kill her if he did not stop fighting them. Now here with David trying to poison her. Spoiler alert. Later when Malcolm Balck arrives to kill everyone who means something to David, and finally when Emily is going after her. So they really played with our expectations here. About Victoria's confession. This was really strange. Did they not found a better explanation why she did not choose David? I mean, should this sob excuse she was afraid of him because he lied about his first wife being dead show how desperate she tries to find an excuse for an inexcusable deed? I mean, she could have asked him about Kara after she found out. And she also could have told him about Conrad's deed instead of feeding Conrad and the initiative with information about David. About Emily's and Kate's fight. For a minute she got me here with her sob story about Malcolm forcing her to do his dirty work because he kidnapped her mother. But since they already alluded to her as being as good as Emily, I should have known better and caught her act. But I love the twist here that Emily was ahead of Kate the whole time. And this fighting scene did not disappoint us and made me wish we had seen more of it in the past seasons. I love how they use the scale of the manor and show us that they have equally fighting skills. They really make us fear Emily got loose against her and die, which she almost did. By the way, this is a nice behind-the-scenes fact. I guess they mixed stunt doubles and the real actresses here. So I noticed how the one who plays Kate stabilizes Emily's head after they had falling of the balcony. Something her role Kate Black never would have done. But nice to see that they hold safety above else within these scenes. And I just love the editing here. Jack running as fast as he can, making us fear he could die too or get his hero moment by saving Emily. And then Daniel's fatal error trying to save Emily. About Daniel's death. This last call from Margaux made his death even more devastating. Because they really had a chance to be a better family and maybe fulfill each other's dreams. Yes, it would have been hard for her take paternity leave, but I guess Daniel would have been a great modern dad, supporting her in everything he could and make her transition back to work easier by staying at home, and they also are rich enough to afford a great nanny. And I just love her quote that they can be better together. If you are cruel and share a more pessimistic view, you can say this was the last reckless and thoughtless act of Daniel. Walking into a dangerous situation without thinking about the consequences for him and his family. Even more as Margaux just a minute ago told him on the phone that she and the baby need him. The reasonable thing to do would have been stay in safety outside and call the police. But that would have surely killed Emily, so he could not help it. And I see it more like the writers wrote this. It was just Daniel's last sacrifice for Emily and showed he still has feelings for her. The scene itself was just heartbreaking and always hits me all over again. The idea giving him some kind of end monologue with the letter was a nice tribute to him, since he was from the pilot such a vital part of the show and the core story around Emily. And here comes Jack hero moment, which makes the scene perfect. They really make the most of his death scene by cutting these moments with Margaux in, who is preparing herself for his return. Emily's and Jack's reactions are just so subtle and great. And I love his last quote that he knows she loved him even though both are not using the L word. It is like with Fomanda when she died in season 2. Emily can only say I love when she lost the person who meant everything for her. The only exception was Aidan and of course Jack and her dad. About Victoria's reaction. I hate that they make her show the same reaction as with Pascal. Because the one thing I really despise are these scream queens. Though I know it is natural that she freaks out and we have these different stages or layers of grief. We heard about them in season 1 when Emily referred to the 5 stages of grief by Kubler-Ross. About the conversations and plans after Daniel's death. I still hate that Victoria denies her guilt in this. She was the one who sent Kate after Emily without telling anyone, including David. She even led her to the conclusion who Emily really is, which made her even more valuable to Malcolm Balck, and brought her into more danger. The only thing I hate more is David's blame game and how he is handling the situation. Emily and Jack should have never agreed to his plan. And I am sure if her dad and Daniel did not have been involved, Emily would have thought clearer about it and gave the plan a pass. I do not know how they could have solved this mess. By lying to the police and having Margaux in the process siding with Victoria to become Emily's next great enemy was surely not a good outcome for their plan. Instead of running Daniel's reputation and erase all traces of Kate, it would have been better to use the phone and recordings of Kate's conversation with Emily to take Malcolm down with the help of the FBI. They must be thrilled having new information on him and surely working long to get such a breakthrough. I mean, if Emily's conversation with her was recorded, then their fight and her murder of Daniel. So what is the problem here in handing everything over to the police? The fact that Jack shot her is easily described as self-defense after they had seen the recordings. Okay, David makes them all scared of Malcolm Balck with his worst stories about this powerful psychopath. But this is only more reason to take him down. And how could they hope they could keep Kate's death a secret for long? The only thing I like about this scene is the technical aspect behind it. This really looks like a police or crime show now, with Ben walking into the crime scene and Emily being questioned. Showing us what they actually did while Emily and Jack are spilling their lies made me really uncomfortable. Even more with Margaux in mind. She did not deserve to hear all those vile lies about the father of her child. I mean, did they all not think a second about her and how she feels with all this? They captured Victoria's reaction very well. I guess she counts more since they believe she is more dangerous than Margaux. And I must admit I really felt sorry for Victoria. Especially in these scenes with David where he really was that ice cold and cruel. Very much like Emily in season 1 with Nolan. Daniel was the one child she always cherished and choosed over Charlotte. And if what she was saying is true, she chose him over David all those years ago. So losing him must be as hard as when she lost David. If not even harder, since Daniel was her first child. Now that the relationship between her and David sees the first cracks and Charlotte has left her to go to rehab, Victoria has no one left and is literally all alone in her grief. I think this was the first time that I thought Emily and Jack are not the good in this story and felt ashamed for what David made them do. And it is also the first time seeing her having a hard time fooling the authorities. Remember that scene from season 1? When Victoria sent the police to Emily to question her about Frank's murder. Even though she was just out all night with Fomander to dispose Frank's body, she had the time to collaborate an alibi. By going to the fish market. She was always that sovereign and completely calm when talking with the police. Even though breaking law was kind of a hobby for her and she was always involved when something suspicious happened. But here she is not doing great and selling the story not as good as she used to in seasons before. Jack is right telling her she should be more careful. Cause Ben is beginning to become a threat, cause he seems to be the only cop in the Hamptons who finally sees through Emily's lies. About David bringing Victoria to Emily. This scene was good for 2 reasons. First, the little comic relief how both women try to not go at each other's throat, and second, to show how over his head David is. He really lost track of the situation and is overwhelmed by the mess he caused. Cause if Victoria wants to blame someone, it is David. Because he is the only reason Malcolm Balck came after them in the first place. And if he was more open and sharing with information to begin with, they could have done something to prevent all this and what is happening in the next couple of episodes. And it is really great that he of all people blames Emily for this. He was the one who could not handle the Malcolm Balck situation. Kate was already after him and Emily before he even knew it, and he still has no great plan how to neutralize Malcolm. The only thing I really enjoyed coming out of the tragedy of Daniel's death is that now Victoria has a new ally in Margaux. A natural choice since she is the only one left besides Louise who can be manipulated by her. And we know Victoria's pattern from season 3. Even though the facts speak another language, it is always Emily who she blames for her loss. She did it with Pascal and now she is doing the same with Daniel. With Margaux I can understand that she blames Emily, and her rage is only fair since the story about Daniel attacking Emily does not add up. She knows he was not angry and wanted to start a new life with her and their baby. So why should he go to the manor and attack Emily when he was practically already on his way back to her? Getting Victoria's new Patsy and being manipulated by her because of the common grief about Daniel's death was pretty much obvious. Why did Emily not see that coming and interfered David's plan? About Jack shooting Kate. I think they found a better way here to address that Jack actually killed someone. With Aiden in season 2 it always felt some kind of easy. And besides feeling empty, he never showed anything like remorse. I know it is different because Kate was Jack's girlfriend for a while. But still he killed someone who was bad and wanted to kill Emily. So it's pretty much the same Aiden did the whole time. But I like that they address his remorse because unlike Aiden, Jack was always the good guy. About Emily's interrogation by Ben. I like Jack's quote in the scene before that she should take the time and grief, which is what humans do. Again we have Nolan's words from season 3 in our ear that Emily Thorne is some kind of a robot. Emily said it herself in the finale that Emily Thorne is a machine she created not to feel anything. And Aiden described it best in season 2 at the cemetery where his sister's grave was. Emily can turn emotions on and off with a switch, which is exactly what she does here. She only allows herself to give into grief when it serves her goals, like convincing Ben here that she had no other choice to shoot Daniel. And did it not because she was a cold-blooded killer. Of course feeling remorse because she had no other option to defend herself. If she were not our heroine but the antagonist, you would see how manipulative she is here. Using the truth about him shooting her at their wedding night to make it more plausible that he attacked her was just genius. Being over-hypocritical, I must say that Ben being interested in her also plays into her cards here. Only her reaction to Daniel dying makes us believe that she truly cared about him and is not at all lying here. About Margaux declaring war on Emily. Like I said, this was obvious. She cannot understand what happened to Daniel as long as they do not tell her the truth. It is the same problem Emily and Nolan had with Jack after Formunder's death and all his questions that came with it. But what was really hard, hearing her and Victoria making Emily miss his funeral. And here comes the scene I was talking of in one of my episodes on season 3. I really think Victoria is starting to lose it. There is no other explanation since we have not seen her taking any pills like Louise or Charlotte. Some tranquilizer can have side effects like daydreaming or full hallucinations. But we never saw a doctor with her or any description of pills. So I guess she is slowly losing her mind. About Daniel's funeral. I like that they make this scene about Emily and Daniel. I know Margaux lost the father of her child and Victoria lost her son, but Emily is the main protagonist here. And like they show us in these beautiful flashbacks, they had quite a journey together. I love that little intimate scene at the end, which is new. Together with that really great version of Formunder's Requiem, they make us feel her loss. Interesting that he and Fomander were the only characters throughout the show who got a proper funeral. The others like Declan and Aiden just disappeared. About Malcolm Balck coming to town. This was quite an entrance, killing the chief of police just in a minute. I guess the actor was familiar to us audience and was an anticipated guest star. I only know him from Revenge, and I must admit his accent was really annoying for me as no native English-speaking person. And as this big villain he was a great disappointment. Though he made a good villain after all because he is that violent. If David had not painted him as this big bad we would not have been that much disappointed. But I guess him being that afraid of him and almost admiring his ruthlessness and power tells us more about David than about Malcolm.